Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Today's video is a collaboration with my wonderful friend Allison, whose channel is Pixie Dust and Parenting. So as soon as you're done watching this, make sure you head over there and watch her channel as well. And we are talking today all about our own Christmas traditions. And I am so glad that you're here. First of all, you need to know that all three of my kids are home, which means there is piano playing going on and dogs are barking and it's a little loud here. So I'm hoping that the background noise isn't too bad. But if I wait for it to not happen, this video was never going to get done. And what's happening right now, if you can hear the dog kind of howling, my oldest son is playing the piano and my dog likes to sing while my oldest son plays the piano. So Allison wanted us to talk about Christmas traditions. And at first I was like, do we really have any traditions around Christmas other than like what everybody does? And I'm going to be really honest with you. When you have three kids, including a set of twins, it is really tricky to kind of maintain a lot of traditions because really when you're working full time and you have three kids and a husband who travels, Christmas is such a beautiful time, but it's kind of a time to be survived. So you keep things, or at least I did, I kept things really simple because keeping things simple seemed to be how I was able to still enjoy the holidays myself and give my children a really happy holiday. So I didn't get too hung up as they were growing up on like specific details where everything had to be exactly like it was every year. And I think also I never wanted to be stressed out at Christmas time. I love my mom so much. You guys know she's been on the channel. I travel with her, but I remember watching her when I was young. And although she loved the holidays, I remember her always getting really stressed out. And I remember thinking, even as a really little girl, I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy the holiday with my family. I don't want to be so busy maintaining, every kind of cookie that has to be baked and the decorating has to be perfect and everything has to be a certain way that all I remember is how much work I did and I don't have those really special memories with my kids. So for that reason, our Christmases have always been fairly simple. Keep in mind too, I was a pastor for 10 years, so Christmas was a very labor-intensive time for me. So that's another reason why our Christmases stayed pretty simple. We are no longer in a church at all. We don't attend church, don't want to attend church. That is a story that might be told at a later time, not to be told today. But a lot of my traditions growing up and, for most of my kids' lives revolved around the church. And those things just aren't the case for us anymore. But we do still have a very beautiful, magical, and yes, even spiritual Christmas. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about. The few set in stone traditions we have kind of revolve around three different things: music, food, and gifts. So I'm going to start with the music piece because if you've been around my channel for any amount of time at all, you know that I am very much into music. I burst into song on a regular basis. Music has been a big part of my life, my entire life. My dad loved music. I remember when I was growing up, we always listened to the Raycon of Singers. They had a Christmas album that is still my favorite Christmas album. And there is a song on there called Jolly Old St. Nicholas. And do yourself a favor, if you have Spotify or iTunes Music, go look it up. When I was little, we were not allowed to open presents until we heard that song. We weren't allowed to come downstairs and we weren't allowed to open presents till we heard Jolly Old St. Nicholas by the Raycon of Singers played on our huge hi-fi down in our living room. And that is one tradition I have kept with my own children. And when they were really little, it was hysterical because they would just be begging to come out of their rooms, but they had to stay there till they heard Jolly Old St. Nicholas. Looking back, I think that was so smart of my mom and dad because they wanted a chance to get up, to get the fire started, to get coffee started, which I now appreciate as an adult way more than I did. I was like, why do they need to have coffee? My mom always wanted to kind of do her face up because she wanted to look good for pictures. So they were really just buying time. But we knew that there was no way that we could have a happy Christmas if we broke that one rule. Other music that's always been really powerful for me at Christmas is really anything by Bing Crosby. And I suppose I should have put movies into this category as well because we do have quite a few movies that are traditions for us. Of course, White Christmas. One of my favorites is Christmas in in Connecticut, which is an old black and white movie. I think it's Barbara Stanwyck. It's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We always watch Meet Me in St. Louis, even though Christmas is just part of that movie. But, I mean, how can anyone not love listening to Judy Garland sing to Margaret O'Brien, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas? That movie is just spectacular Christmas entertainment. Also, we love the movie It's a Wonderful Life, obviously. The Bishop's Wife, if you haven't seen that, another old black and white one. And then moving into more modern movies, of course, we have to watch all the Santa Claus movies, even though the third one is horrible. And then on Christmas Eve, we always try to watch Muppet Christmas Carol. Muppet Christmas Carol, of all of the Christmas movies that we've ever watched, is probably our family's favorite. It is so incredibly magical. And who doesn't love the Dickens story of A Christmas Carol? And then with all of the Muppet characters, the soundtrack from that is amazing. By the way, if you've never watched it, try to find the full theatrical release, which has a song in there that is sung by Scrooge's ex-girlfriend that is spectacularly beautiful, but was not played in its entirety in the regular release. You want to watch the full extended version with that song in it. So just a little pro tip for you. Christmas specials are a big deal. And again, going back to the music, any of the Rankin Bass specials we have to watch, of course, all the regular ones, but then also ones like The Year Without a Santa Claus, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, which is super weird about these mice and this clock tower, off ones like that, Heat Miser and just strange Rankin Bass specials are kind of one of our family's favorite things. Not the normal ones that everybody knows, but kind of these weird, obscure ones that nobody's ever heard of. Rudolph's Shiny New Year is another great one like that. I feel like I veered off of music quite a bit, but that's okay. Music and movies can kind of go together. Let's move on to the Christmas food traditions. I am a baker. I love to bake. I always make homemade iced sugar cookies that I'm kind of famous for. They take forever, but everybody loves them. I also make really good gingerbread cookies, but I don't like my gingerbread cookies iced. I like gingerbread to just stand on its own. We usually have our big meal on Christmas Eve, although this year Scott works Christmas Eve kind of late, so I think we're going to do it on Christmas Day. And then we kind of usually try to have tons of snack food and junk food and things we don't normally have in the house because these are feast days. And I'm really big on that. I am not one that is watching calories, especially not as we get closer to Christmas. I feel like Christmas only comes once a year. There are a lot of foods I love that I only buy during Christmas, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to eat what I want to eat. We always have cinnamon rolls, Pillsbury, not homemade, on Christmas morning while we're opening gifts. And then I usually make a big brunch for us, which is, just the typical scrambled eggs and try to get some strawberries and some special things like that. I always set the table for Christmas morning breakfast with my Christmas dishes. And the boys, and I'll take a picture of them here. I have a really cool story around these wood napkin holders that I have that I bought at a craft fair before any of my kids were born. And weirdly, I bought 5 and they only had 4 different designs. So I had to buy one design twice. So I ended up with 2 of one of the designs, and then I ended up having twins. So I get goosebumps whenever I tell that story because it's like on some level, I knew we were going to be a family of 5. And then the fact that I ended up with 2 of the same napkin holders, it's just kind of one of those weird things. And when it worked out, the first Christmas that I pulled them out after the twins were born, I was like, Scott, this is so weird. Like how did I know to get 2 of the same one? And it just worked out really beautifully. I would say I have a lot of food traditions that kind of are combined with like my decorating traditions. Like I really love doing up a beautiful table for Christmas. And it's such a great time to do that. And I have my great Christmas dishes and we love, all the glassware and all of that. So I just think Christmas is such a time for shiny and pretty and all of the lights. It's just a really beautiful time to set a gorgeous table. So I actually am kind of bad. I'll spend more time setting the table than I will actually making the meal. But that's just what I like. So food is a big deal to us for Christmas. And then lastly, gift giving. We do a lot of gift giving at Christmas. I grew up in a family where we got a lot of presents. In fact, the first Christmas that Scott spent with our family, he was like in shock at how many gifts there were. Like he came out. My mom asked him to help her bring the gifts out. And this was before Santa had come. And even before Santa had come, the gifts took up like the whole family room floor. And my husband's eyes, he grew up in a household that was a lot more conservative when it came to gifts. I would say that we have kind of settled on something that's sort of in between. We don't buy as many gifts as my mom and dad did, certainly, but we do buy quite a few. And my kids are definitely spoiled on Christmas, and I don't make any apologies for that. We always open one gift on Christmas Eve, and it's usually pajamas. No spoilers for this year, but everybody usually gets new pajamas on Christmas Eve. And then we always do stockings first, and stockings are kind of a free-for-all, but then when it comes to opening gifts, gifts are opened one at a time. One of the children always plays Santa. Oh, that was another movie I didn't mention, was A Christmas Story. We were watching that the other night, and one of my boys said, do you think that that's why we do the Santa thing, is because of A Christmas Story? I don't think so. I think, so the person who plays Santa is the one who sits at the base of the tree and hands out the gifts. So the boys used to fight over it. They don't as much anymore, because now that they're all in their 20s, they more want to sit there and drink their coffee and not have to do anything. So I think I played Santa last year. But our gift giving is a big deal, and it takes us a while, and there's always just a mess of paper and happiness and sticky cinnamon rolls, and we usually give the dogs bones, so they're busy, and the Christmas music is playing, and there's a fire in the fireplace. And honestly, of all of the moments of the year, and you know, because Scott hasn't always been home on Christmas, it's not always on December 25th at my house because he's a pilot. So sometimes it's other days. But whatever morning we are celebrating Christmas as a family, of all of the times of the year, is always one of my most cherished. And it's just, it's almost sacred. It's just that space and time where no one is calling, no one is on their phones, no one is emailing anybody, businesses are closed. And I feel like collectively, we all as a planet just sort of pause and we celebrate something that, whether you are a religious person or not, we can all celebrate a story of love coming down to earth and connecting. God connecting with mankind is such a beautiful story of hope and light, and to celebrate family and celebrate one another. It's just the best, isn't it? So those are my Christmas traditions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure you go and check out Allison's as well. I hope you got to know me a little bit more through this video, a little bit more about our kind of normal American family and how we celebrate the holidays. I mostly, however, hope that you and your family have a beautiful Christmas holiday. If you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to do that. I have lots of great content coming up next year, and I can't wait to see you then. Take care of yourselves. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.